Hey guys, and welcome to another very exciting tutorial. In this video I want to show you how you can quickly and easily create some really cool text animations in Adobe After Effects using nothing but some presets and some masks. First off, if you want to go straight to the tutorial, jump about a minute or two ahead. Now, I am keeping this video deliberately short. For one, sometimes people actually appreciate non-marathon length videos, and secondly, I've actually been pretty busy with a few other projects. I've just released a guest tutorial over on the HitFilm channel that shows you how to create some really cool morph effects using HitFilm Express. If you're into HitFilm, I highly recommend that you check it out. I'm going to drop a link to that video down in the video description. Also, I'm actually getting really close to finishing off a brand new full-length beginner course for Adobe After Effects on Udemy. There's just a few little things to fix up, but I'm hoping to get the course live in maybe 1 or 2 weeks. By the time you watch this video, the course may already be live, and I'm going to drop some links as well as some discount codes down in the video description, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. But now, enough about me. Let's talk about how you can use Adobe After Effects to really quickly create some really cool looking text effects. Now, this is going to be a pretty basic tutorial, but I will assume that you're at least familiar with the basics of how Adobe After Effects works. If you don't, I've got an absolute beginner series on my channel that you can check out. But now, before I talk your ears off, let's jump right into the tutorial. Welcome to the wonderful world of Adobe After Effects, and as always, I am going to start out with a brand new empty project. To start creating our title, we first need to create a composition, and if you're on one of the later versions of After Effects, you can just click on New Composition or come into your project panel at the very bottom. Let's just click onto the New Composition icon, and let's call this one Fancy Title. And at the very bottom, I'm going to change the duration to 10 seconds, which is plenty of time for a title, and then hit OK. Come up to the main toolbar, select the horizontal type tool, click into your composition, and then simply type some text. Select all of the text with Ctrl or Command and A, and then over on the right hand side in the character tab you can tweak your text to any font and style that you like. I'm just going to change the font itself over to something just a little bit more noticeable, maybe Franklin Gothic Heavy, and I'm going to push the size up to maybe around the 150 or so. I want this to be quite big. Then, with the text tool still selected, let's just click and select only the organic part of this title. Let's just change the font of only that section over to, maybe I'll go with Harrington. And maybe I'll make this section just a little bit bigger, around the 160. Let's come back to our selection tool, so we can move our title around. And then at the bottom right, I've got my Align panel. And again, if you can't see any of these panels, just come up into the main menu bar, and under Window, you can enable all of these panels. So there's the Align panel in there. So with my text selected, let's just click onto aligning it vertically and horizontally, so the text is right in the center of our composition. And now if you scrub through, it's a pretty boring title. So let's jump into our Effects and Presets panel. Open up the animation presets, and in here you'll find a folder for text. And in here you'll find a really large number of presets that you can just drag and drop onto your text elements to make them look really fancy. Now for my title, I obviously first want to have it appear, then it'll display for a little while, and then everything disappears. So let's come to the very beginning of the composition, and be aware that any preset you apply always applies from the current timeline indicator position forward. So let's come to the very beginning. In the text animation presets, let's open up this Animate In folder. And again, you can choose whichever one you want. Maybe I'll choose Straight In by Character and simply drag and drop that onto our animated organic title. And now if you scrub through, you've got all of the text kind of moving over to the left-hand side, but it doesn't really make the font appear. It's just kind of shifted it off to the right. And that is simply due to the way this preset has been set up. So in our layer window, let's expand the text layer, the text property, and then this animator. And this animator here got actually applied by the preset that we just dragged onto this layer. Let's pop this open, and it's got this range selector in here, and this range selector has a position. And if you change this position, you can see that this text moves around. So what I want to do is I want to hold down Shift, click and drag this off to the left-hand side. Holding down Shift just increases the amount of change, so I can make bigger changes with less mouse movement. So now this selector is over on the left-hand side. And now if I scrub through, all of my characters are kind of being pushed in from the left-hand side. Let's rewind and play this back. And that actually looks pretty cool. However, it's too slow, right? It takes about 3.5 seconds for this text to appear. So let's open up this range selector. And in here, you can see that the start property of this range selector has two keyframes. This is the starting keyframe and the end keyframe. And in your timeline window, you can simply select these. Let me drag this over to the left-hand side to maybe just around the 1 second. So it'll take 1 second exactly for this entire text to appear. And the other thing that I always recommend when working with text is to enable motion blur. So for that, enable motion blur for the entire composition. Then if you can't see the motion blur switch on your layer, just press F4 on your keyboard to toggle those. And then here you've got the motion blur switch as well. So let's enable that for the layer. You can kind of see it streaking there already. Let's come to the very beginning. I'm also going to select all of my keyframes, press F9 to enable Bezier interpolation, which just makes it ease in and ease out. And now if I press space, I got my text zooming in from the left-hand side. That was pretty easy. Let's collapse this layer, and let's say I want to animate this organic part of the title to appear in kind of a more organic way. For that, I'm going to select my text layer, press Ctrl or Command and D to duplicate it. And on this top layer, with the top layer selected, let's just double click onto the text. And let me just essentially erase the animated part as well as the second half of this title. So this title now is really just this organic text. I'm going to place this right on top of the actual organic text from the layer below. Then let's double click onto the layer below. And from this text, I actually just want to delete this organic text. And I'm just going to press space a number of times to shove the title over to the right-hand side. Let's return to the selection tool. Let's just reposition this just so that the organic part sits in a bit nicer. You can also select it and just kind of make it just a little bit bigger as well. Just kind of place it right there in the middle. And maybe I'll change the color over to a brighter blue as well, just so it stands out a little bit nicer. Next, let's open up this organic text layer, open up the text property, and let's delete this animator from it because this again is the same animation as on the animated title itself. So let's just delete that. Let's come to a time position around the 1 second, just when this animated title text has fully appeared. Let's return to the Effects and Presets panel and let's use a totally different preset to make this organic piece appear. Now, you could use any of the presets in Animating, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down a little bit, open up this organic section here, and the one I want to use is this bounce diagonal. So let's drop this onto our organic title. Let's scrub through this. And this is going to make this organic text kind of just bounce in, which looks really nice. It's way too long. And if I select this layer and press U to reveal all of the keyframes, I've got all of the keyframes here, and I can shove these around, but I can't easily shrink them together. However, what you can do is with all of those keyframes selected, simply click on this little graph editor icon up here on the top right-hand side in your layer panel. It's going to open up the graph editor. Don't worry too much about this. Simply click and drag a box around all of those elements. So you're kind of selecting all of the keyframes, and then you can simply click on the right side and drag this in to kind of squish those keyframes together. I kind of want to give it about a second, so from 1 to 2 seconds is when this organic text is going to appear. Let's click the graph editor icon again to come out, and you can see all of the keyframes have just kind of been squished together. Let's come back, and I can still see this R floating around here. So what I'm going to do, come to the first keyframe of this layer. It's going to trim the left-hand side down, so it's going to kind of pop in right there. So let's rewind and play this back. And that's looking pretty cool. Now let's add another text element to this title and kind of have it slide out from behind this text. So let's grab the text tool, click into the composition, and let's just type a new text. Maybe I'll call this one Digital Life. Ctrl or Command and A to select everything. And let's change the font over to, maybe I'll go with D as digital. I'm going to change the color back to white, and let's just make this text quite a bit smaller, maybe around the 80 or so. Select the selection tool, and let's just drag this and position this right where we want it to be. I kind of want to sit it between the animated and the organic. I think it fits in really nicely just before this little G. Obviously, I don't want this text to be visible until all of the other text has appeared. So let's come to about 2 seconds when this organic text has fully appeared. Let's select the Digital Live text layer, come back into the Effects and Presets panel, and let's just pick another one to make this text appear. I'm going to go back to my Animating. Let's open this up, and I'm going to select this drop in by character. And now if I scrub through, you can see the text kind of moves downwards, which kind of looks cool, but it sits way too high, right? We want it kind of sitting behind the text and then being hidden and kind of just reveal itself. So let's just come to the beginning. Let's open up this digital live text layer, open up the text property, open up the animator. And again, it has this range selector which controls which characters of this text element the position offset is being applied to. Let's just kind of shift this downwards a little bit to maybe round about there, so it's nice behind the text. And now if I scrub forward, you can see this digital live text appears right there. Obviously, I also want to enable motion blur on this layer. Just looks a little bit nicer. And then let's come up into the toolbar, select the rectangle tool. Let's just, with this digital live layer still selected, click and drag a mask just around the bottom half of this layer, so right about there. So what's going to happen is that all of those characters are kind of vanishing behind the text, so they're going to appear as if they were coming out behind the text, which looks really cool. Let's rewind, unselect all of our layers, and let's play this back. Cool, that looks really nice. Obviously, digital live appears a little bit slow, so let's select the layer, press U to reveal all the keyframes. I'm just going to kind of crunch this together. So again, this digital live appears quite quickly. Maybe I'll give this organic text just a few frames to finish off, and then this digital live text appears. Let's just zoom back out, rewind, and play this back. Cool, that's looking really nice. Now, you can add a whole bunch of other presets to your text elements. Obviously, Animate In always makes your text appear, Animate Out will always make it disappear, and then there's different effects for blurring, filling, colors, graphical, distortion, hazes, all sorts of other things. Sometimes these make your text appear or disappear. Sometimes they just add some effects in, and then you can kind of come in and tweak this to your liking. But I'm not going to go through all of these. There's so many to explore. Just play around and have some fun. One thing I do want to do though now, I want to make all of my text disappear again, right? I want my title to end. So from 3 to 5 seconds, I'm going to display the text, and then it's just going to disappear again within about a second. So my whole title is going to be about 6 seconds long. So let's come to about 5 seconds. Let's select Digital Live. In the text presets, let's open up this Animate Out property, and let's apply an encoder fade out to this layer. Press U, you may have to press it twice to reveal all of the keyframes. Let's select the end keyframe for this range selector, which represents the effect for the encoder fade out. And let's just bring this in to right about 6 seconds. If you scrub through now, you can see the text kind of gets swiped out and disappears, which looks pretty cool already. But now let's also make this animated title disappear as well as this organic element. Let's first select this animated title, and I kind of want to have all of these characters swipe off to the right-hand side at the end, just like they were coming in. However, under Animate In, you may remember we used this straight in by character, and for some reason in this Animate Out, there is no straight out by character, so there's no Animate Out version of this effect. However, we can simply use this straight in by character effect again and invert it so that it does exactly what we want. So let's come to about 5 seconds. Let me collapse this digital live layer and the organic one as well, because we're going to concentrate onto the animated title one. Let's apply this straight in by character effect to it. And it's kind of screwed up our text. So let's press U, come to 5 seconds. And here is this range selector for our second straight in by character preset. And what I want to do is I essentially want to swap these two keyframes around. So I'm going to grab the end keyframe and drag it over the beginning keyframe, drop it at about 5 seconds, and then move the second one over to about 6 seconds. So that looks all right coming in. And that almost looks all right going out. However, it's not going far enough over to the right-hand side. So let's come to the last keyframe. And you can't actually access the position property of this range selector just by opening that up. I'm actually going to have to collapse this layer and open up this layer again. And I can find my animators, and the one I want to change is animator 2, because that's for the second preset we applied. I'm going to move this position, the X one, over to the right-hand side off screen. So now my text actually animates and swipes all the way off the screen. And the last thing we have to do is make our organic element disappear. Again, you could use any of the Animate In presets and invert them, or the Animate Out ones. I'm actually just going to come down into the organic section again, and I'm going to apply this flutter effect. Again, make sure you're at about 5 seconds where everything starts disappearing. Let's apply the flutter effect to our organic element. And again, if you scrub through, it kind of works the wrong way around. It makes all of this text appear. So with the organic layer selected, press U to reveal all of the keyframes. And on this selector here at the bottom, which comes from the flutter effect, again, it has 2 keyframes for the start and the end. And again, we just need to flip them around. So let's grab the one at the end and bring it forward to about 5 seconds. Let's move forward to maybe about 6 seconds and place this second keyframe right there. You can kind of see this text is being kind of shot off and flutters and flies off to the bottom right hand side, which looks really nice and cool. So now everything kind of disappears at once. And if you're not quite happy with the timing, one thing I always like to do at the end of my titles, simply click into the timeline window to unselect everything, then press Ctrl or Command and A, press U once, twice, 3 times in this case, to reveal all of the animated properties. You can now simply kind of drag these keyframes around to kind of get the animation timing set up exactly the way that you want. So I kind of want to have this animated title disappear just a little bit quicker. So you kind of just got the digital text disappears just as these last little pieces of the organic one flutter past. So let's rewind, collapse all of our layers, and let's play back the final title effect. And that's all there is to it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see more, just click on these links over on the right hand side. If you want to support me in what I do on this channel, maybe get access to my private Discord server, be sure to check out my Patreon page. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.